What could have been? We knew there was really, three outcomes in this whole situation, right? So there's like one of us, Buffalo, Washington, D.C., make it to the Super Bowl. Both of us, preferred option, Buffalo and D.C., or none of us. And here we are sitting on the second to last day in January of 2025. And the worst outcome is it. No Buffalo Bills, no Washington, whatever their name is today.
Yeah.
Heartbreak for you. Me, it was just a straight can of whoop ass, really. Like, it was bad.
Well, and I was talking to my wife, Terry. I was like, going into this,
You felt good.
I would rather just get smacked, because it's just easier to deal with losing to heartbreak. And it just seems like, man, as a Buffalo, we have just always had the dark cloud over, and just always year after year losing to heartbreak. And the crazy thing is that, like, I'm so used to it that I'm really kind of numb. But then, like, scrolling through social, whatever, and like one of the comments that I had made to Terry was, the Josh Allen play on fourth down, they have to review, they marked him short. And I told her, I was like, that just totally changed the momentum of the game. It totally changed everything. And then, like, now afterwards,
definitely was a first down. The play before was definitely a first down too.
Yeah. And, and I'm so numb to it now that, now when I see these video montages of, 5 times that, the Bills were marked short. But I did notice that during the broadcast. It was like, oh, and they marked him short, and they marked him short, and they marked him short. And I was like, but yeah.
There's a piece of technology.
There's
a piece of technology that's supposed to track where the ball is. There's like a chip
they
in
could
it.
put a little, at each
So
end of the ball.
apparently they didn't like the amount of time it took to get that data back. But, like, what's the difference between that data and the thing in tennis?
Right. I mean, worst case scenario, it takes an extra second long, show Tay-Tay. That's all that they want anyway, right?
I don't know. JP, are you a sports fan or not?
Yes, I am, but I'm not a big fan of football, more college basketball for me.
Okay. Who is your college basketball squad?
Well, I went to ODU, so I was a big Blaine Taylor fan back in the day before before he left. But now, really any college basketball, just because I love the camaraderie of the team and the passion and the drive behind it. But, like, it's hard for me to get behind any football or like, I can't tell you how many times I've fallen asleep on the couch just watching a football game. And like, what the hell am I doing? Let me go be productive doing something else.
Do you think that the new wave of college ball with NIL and the transfer portal, does that change your love of the game? Does it enhance it? Like, what has that done?
Me personally, I like the fact that you can now transfer and not, like, have that whole red shirt issue. Because I always thought that was a little ridiculous, but and I do think that if, as a business owner, that if they're using your name, image, and likeness, you 100% should be getting paid in some regard, even if it's benefiting the community. The thing that I've disliked and why I've not been a big fan of pro sports is having someone go from one team to another team to another team and another team, all within or being traded. And I believe more in having that franchise kind of mentality. Like, when you're with the team, you're with the team. And it's hard to have that, when you go from one to another all in the course of 3 years, and I like that because you can really get behind these players. You can really see them develop and better themselves. And same thing with the coaches. Like, you can see a coach get 10 times better and really jive with the team over time. But when you have that, constant need and desire for performance, it really becomes questionable.
What I hear there is culture is important.
Oh, right? Huge.
How has that impacted basketball? I mean, I've heard a lot about football, but I guess same deal.
Exact same. Yeah. I haven't been to a ODU basketball game in probably 2 years now, but I mean, it's the same impact. I mean,
Mhm.
when you're able to go and no longer redshirt, and now they're Bill Belichick is a great example of going
He's
to.
gonna crush it.
I hope so, but
Yeah.
the thing that I think is admirable, he's like, I don't want anyone that's not going to spend 4 years here. To me, that should happen. Like if you're
I
going to
think
sign
the data
somebody,
is saying that people are staying longer too, though. Maybe they're graduating instead of leaving early. But because before people would, you need to get your cheddar, so you got to go to the league to get the money, or a
Mhm.
league, I guess. But
Is
it-
Bill,
it-
is he truly ripping out the tarp?
Oh, yeah.
Is that,
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
I heard? Or not tarp, but the
I don't know that they'll win
artificial
a
field?
title. I don't know that they'll win a title, but they're going to be relevant.
yeah.
I mean, they do have Michael Jordan's logo on that school, but they don't have it from a football perspective. Sure, they have had some good football players there. This is not a sports show.
I mean, they are definitely not known as a football squad. I mean, it's just
No.
they're basketball through and through.
How
It'll be
do you-
interesting.
How do you look at culture in the way from a basketball perspective that you like, in that it's admirable and you like it, you follow that, and how do you kind of leverage that, utilize that, and maybe copy some of that to use in your own business?
Man, that's kind of super easy. So a couple things is I'm a member of EO Entrepreneurs Organization, and I started out as an accelerator. And one of the first things that they talk about is culture, and being in the construction industry, it was quite easy for me to go, what do I hate about the construction industry if I'm a customer? Well, I hate that they're not professional. I hate that they're not respecting my personal space or my workspace. I hate that they're not thinking about healthy construction. And then, thinking ahead of time, just the simple of, hey, what do I need to do this job today to be impactful? Right. And so, as I dove deeper into it, I was like, well, shit, why don't I just turn these into my company core values and find a way to embody them every day? And that's kind of what we did, is just driving home those points. And then we do that every Monday morning. So during our Monday morning staff meeting, everyone's got to go around the table and say, hey, this is what I thought this person did, or I did, or how we handled a tough situation, or any number of things. And so I've just been fortunate to really have an amazing group of people that I work with.
Do you think that people hate construction because of what? Is that Hollywood? Like, why do people hate construction people?
No, it's definitely not.
That, right? Like, customers hate, like,
yeah, no, it's a passion. It's like you driving down the side of the road and you see 5 people out there and one person's doing the work, right? But what a lot of people don't understand is that everyone has a role, and while you don't see it, like, it's impactful. I just had a meeting with a healthcare project that we're going to be renovating the lobby, and we've met. This is now the 3rd or 4th time, and we're discussing the impact, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and how it's going to impact the client. And one of the things that we're talking about is air scrubbers and ICRA and all these different things that go along with making sure that it's a smooth process. But yeah, that's not it in a nutshell. But going back to your big question of, like, why do people hate construction workers? I mean, just the stereotype of looking at them, and they're dirty, they're filthy, they're, they may have been swinging a hammer all day, or doing sheetrock or concrete or whatnot. And a lot of people don't know that they're just regular human beings, just like we all are. The way they communicate is different. The way they interact is different. Construction has a whole nother language. Think about, when's the last time you guys went to the doctor or the dentist, and they're saying words that you don't even understand? Construction's the same thing. And
please tell me in layman's terms.
Exactly. Oh, you've got high blood pressure, but here's the fancy word for it, right? Well, and that's what happens in construction is like you have to like as a business owner, I have to break it down into layman's terms for people to understand this is what's going to happen. And then I have to translate over to my guys, hey, this is how we're going to do things. And before this meeting, we were going over a project fail-in that we're about to start here in roughly 2 weeks. And little details that we're talking about, they're asking questions, I'm answering questions, and back and forth, this dialogue that's got to happen. Construction is like surgery, but on a building. And the respect, I think, is not owed, but it's also not deserved. So like as contractors, we have not worked hard enough to earn the respect of our clients. And that's really what I'm trying to do by, our 4 core values: professionalism, healthy construction, respect in the space, and ahead of time. And that ahead of time is not to complete a job ahead of time. That ahead of time is to think, to instead of getting someone. I mean, I can't tell you how many jobs I've been on before starting my own company, and someone goes, "Oh, I forgot this one thing." What the hell are you doing? You knew you needed it. Why are you wasting everyone's time? Like, take the time, think about it now, so that way when you're working on it, you don't stop. And that's the stereotype that construction has left in place for, almost thousands of years. And so it's not hard now with the technology we have, with the processes that we have, and just taking that all we need to do is take a little bit of forethought, and boom, we can execute immensely.
I think some of the things that people dislike about that industry is also things that I really like about it, in the sense of like, there's no beating around the bush. You're like, something needs to be said and you say it. I mean, everything is pretty direct, especially when it comes to like team development. And I think that other organizations could benefit from being a little bit more direct, so that you kind of always know where you stand.
It is, but it's hard when you have someone new coming into the industry. So especially with like Gen Zers.
Our neighbor, he was looking for a summer internship, and he started with some construction crew. And like day one, they knew right away. They're like, "Dude, you're not meant to be out with the crew. You need to be back at the home office."
Thick skin type of thing, like can't take a conversation.
I'm not sure the details, but yeah, he went from.
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think one is you got to have that thick skin, and that took me an extremely long time to develop. But it wasn't thick skin. It was actually, for me, learning how to communicate in construction. And then the second thing was learning the respect that needs to be given to these guys, because they are busting their ass every day.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad, is like they want to be just as respected and not looked down upon.
Yeah.
And learning how to do that really is important, because and don't get me wrong, every industry you have your alcoholics, your druggies, like they're in every industry. But learning how to be respectful is a huge thing for these guys. They want to be respected just as much as everyone else.
Yeah. Did something happen? Like, how did you start your Monday morning huddles? Did something happen? Did you learn something? What prompted that?
Yeah. So I'm sitting at an EO event, and it was People Day. So they have 4 quarterly learnings. And so the very first one, they're like, "Hey, you got to have your core values. You got to make sure you got the right people on the bus, the wrong people off, all of those normal things." And they go, really, if you don't have anything to align your people with, for me, that was core values. And I get it. It's monotonous to sit there and go, "All right, guys, it feels like we're an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, going over core values." But I'd be lying if it doesn't work. I mean,
yeah. Was there pushback when you first started?
Initially, yeah. initially, but over time, they started to think about, hey, I'm going to say this at our next meeting. I'm going to give a shout out. Or what's even more impactful is the ones that sit there and say, this was not professional. This was not healthy. This was not respecting the space. And that's where you, like, when they're bringing that up because they're doing it out of frustration, they know we can be better. They know that we can do better as an organization, not just myself as an owner. But yeah.
How do women play into this? Like, so I think growing up, I'm 40. It was kind of, I'm just setting the picture. So, you know, guys do guy things, girls cook and play with Barbies. It seems like that's changed a little bit. You know, I don't know to what extent. Tim has a lot younger kids. You know, you got kids that are in their 20s now, right? Like, it just seems like there's not a lot of women in that world.
And there's still not.
Is that just because of the things that you said earlier? Like it's dirty and maybe women don't want to do that. Like, I don't know. Like,
no, no, that's a great question. I mean, so think about, we've got 3 areas that we mainly, or 4 kind of areas that we're working on. You know, we're doing framing, carpentry, drywall, painting, and then some ceiling work. But drywall itself, you know, you could be listing 75 pounds of drywall. Framing studs, you know, it wears on the body, and men are just more physically apt to handle the stress, the physical stress needed. I'm not saying that women can't, and they aren't. There are several women workers out there, and there's several great ones. You know, there's I can't remember her name, but there's a girl on Instagram that does tile, and she's badass. But the men's body are just more able to handle the physical stress that we have to put on it every day.
What about from the women?
Now, from a design,
from like a client perspective, do you, knowing that you guys have kind of like an old guys network type of thing, you know, old boys network, is that hard to have the conversations with women on that side? Is there training in that aspect? Like, what do you do to make sure it's like, okay, like, hey, like, probably shouldn't say this over here if we're talking to this or anyone type of thing? Like, do you do anything to approach that?
To be honest, not really, just because first off, like, there are women in the workplace. You know, my project coordinator is a woman. I'm about to hire another estimating assistant. That's going to be a woman. And so, like, there are still women in construction. It's just not in the conventional sense that you would see of someone swinging a hammer and that sort of thing. And they still play a role. In fact, probably the bigger role is they help translate from the guys in the field to the client, to do a better job of articulating or coordinating or things of that nature, just because some women are wired differently. I'm not saying all, but yeah.
Kudos for you having that translator of anything, because there's so many businesses that talk and you're like, well, what the hell did that person just say? You don't know. You never figure it out. And then, like, in technology, it's wild because, you know, you got someone who's like, oh, I have this idea. And then they tell someone who could build it. And then they're like, it's not even close. So can't imagine what that's like, where it's like, oh, you got to build 4 walls. You got to do this. You know, it's wild. So good to have that translator in there.
Yeah.
Tim?
And that's been a hard thing for me to continuously develop, is always working on that communication piece is very critical for us.
I want to touch on a different type of development. I would think, how do you approach your team development? I would think that, like, construction, a lot of people start entry level and then work their way up. You know, how do you approach that, knowing that it could be very transitory in terms of they could be gone? You know, what do you do when you identify that talent to further develop them and keep them for the long haul?
For us, well, we do monthly training days. So and in fact, tomorrow is one of ours. And we go over like, hey, what are your personal goals? So let's be honest, we don't live to work or work to live. We don't live to work, right? We work so we can live our lifestyle. But a lot of these guys that go into construction, they don't know, hey, what's the path forward? How do I get better? How do I do this? Like, how do I learn these skills that need to be out there? And the old dog adage is, I'm not going to teach you because I don't want you to take my job. Like that's the mentality that has been out there for, gosh, 50, 100 years. And so what a lot of people don't understand is, and it's slowly changing. I'm not going to say like it's a major change, but what I'm trying to force is, hey, no, if you have some amazing people work with you, you can work faster, work more efficiently. You're not the one carrying the load, right? But the only way you can do that is by consistent training. So for us, we take half a day, the last Friday of every month, and we talk about, hey, what's your personal goals? What's your company goals? What is your career trajectory? And then we go, okay, we bring in an industry expert. So this Friday, tomorrow, we have I think Builders First Source coming to talk to my guys about trim. And all of my guys have worked with trim for years, but that doesn't mean that we know everything. So we're going to talk about flexible trim and the new trends that are coming, because trim changes over time. Like you've got colonial casing and all of these newer style trims. They're not really, it gets to be more cost effective, or MDF versus solid wood. So like we have so many of these different products that really allow us to stay abreast. And that's why we bring in industry experts. And we've had architects, engineers, electricians. We haven't had a plumber yet. I need to have a plumber meet with my team. HVAC, like just so many different trades to learn how, number one, how they impact and how we can work together versus working against each other, because there's a lot of trades that fight each other and they don't know how to, again, have that community of working together. And that communication element. And so it also allows us to have a reset, is us coming together, office versus field, coming together, breaking bread, and allowing us to really focus together from a training aspect. And so by little, I mean, 12 times a year, that's 12 trainings. Oh, and we are also covering safety. So we're going to be covering cold safety tomorrow. And hey, make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids when it's hot out, when it's cold out, making sure you're wearing appropriate clothing and this, that, and the other, and hypothermia. So just all of these different things that either as a refresher, new education, continuing education is so vital in construction.
What's just to go one step further, I think that they labeled the next generation, the tool belt generation, as trades is becoming more in vogue. Are we still on the very front end of that, or is is that becoming easier for you?
No, it has not gotten easier. I would say it's bright, shiny object on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, TikTok, because like they see how to do this, but they don't know what they don't know. So just because someone knows that, hey, I need to frame up this wall, they don't know I need to make sure the studs are 16 inches on center. I need to make sure that they're plumb. I need to make sure that the wall is square. And what does square look like? How do you use a square? And some of that, if you don't use it enough over time, you lose it. And so that's where refreshing really is important.
Are there is there schools for that type of stuff?
Closest school is either Roanoke or Northern Virginia. We
Okay.
have like,
But
don't get
there
me
are
wrong.
schools that teach you that stuff, like 16, the 16-inch thing, or how, like,
Yeah, I mean, you could go to Tidewater Tech and look
okay.
it up. But I mean, the people coming, I have tried to hire the people out of Tidewater Tech,
Oh boy.
and their work, unfortunately, their work ethic is not there. And I think they've got a great program, but it's compact down in such an intense amount of time. And I've been on their board, and I think that they're trying very hard. They're just missing the mark.
Can you teach work ethic? Is that a
No,
trainable thing?
man, that's a sour subject for me.
I guess that answer is no.
Well, I think that I
you
would guess a
can.
lot of it is on the job leader to really kind
Well,
of
you think?
instill
I
that
think
and
it's
build
even
that.
before. No. I think it's your parents.
It's the parents. It well, not only that. So, I got a little bit of insight into like how the school systems work and that sort of thing. And Hampton Roads has a major problem with developing families, and it all starts at home. And when you have families that are working so much that they are um they're working and they're providing for their family, either cleaning houses or janitorial or whatever it is, working in a warehouse, Amazon, I don't know, but they're going to school without the ability or the direction to funnel them in the correct way. And so, like, the thing that I had to learn as I went to college, right? The rest of my people, zero college education. And so that had to help me relearn the way I communicate, the way I interact with these guys, because the way they learned, like, I've literally seen several of my people sitting in my conference room during training days, like getting that itch of like I'm doing something wrong, or like I'm back in school, and they associate it with failure. And that failure is not that has been built because of school, but the way they value themselves is by building stuff. And we need to reward that in the school systems, or find a way. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not the answer for that. But if we could find a way to create that value and show that importance and show those life skills, they will forever be successful in life over the standard way of learning, which is sit in school for 8 hours a day and not and have limited interaction with their parents because they're just barely getting by and providing for their families and that sort of thing. So it's a massive problem across Hampton Roads.
Hmm. One thing that, curious your take on this, somewhat controversial. So we have natural disasters happening. So you have wildfires in California, flooding in North Carolina,
Hurricanes
and a lot
here.
of what's that?
Hurricanes here.
Hurricanes here.
Don't you wish? Don't wish something into an existence, Tim. Don't be that
no,
guy.
I'm certainly not. But the question I have though is, and the part that there's two sides to, it's like one camp is we can't raise prices. There can be no price gouging whatsoever. The other side of the coin is, let free market take control, and there needs to be incentive for construction crews to leave and deploy to those affected areas. What is your take on that? In terms of, does there need to be an incentive to bring people in to help rebuild these areas that have just faced mass destruction, or is that just something you just totally stay out of?
Me personally, so what you're talking about is the traveling GC model, and there's several of those across the country, both responding to disaster, and then others towards like working in malls and like for the franchises where they basically go and build a Golden Corral or a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A, and they go around the country, right? But in as circling back to the natural disaster portion, You need both because, but the biggest thing is the infrastructure. And when you have a natural disaster, it's not the contractors that are slowing things down. It is the government going, what does this need to look like to be rebuilt? And so in my office park, the building behind me caught on fire. And I think Belfour Serpro is doing the work. That fire happened 3 months ago, and they're just now starting the work. And that's not because of the contractor. That's because the layers of bureaucracy that they need to go through to show that they're going to build it correctly. And I'm not arguing that that doesn't need to happen, but it will take, whether the fires, whether the flooding, the hurricane that happened in Nashville, any of that, minimum 5 years before it start to see any sign of normalcy, which is really unfortunate. But as far as the wildfires in Asheville goes, I mean, we're probably talking 10, 20 years before things start to look normal again.
I mean, I think about these families, I mean, and they just want people to get in there as fast as they can. I mean, it's
not
very
going to happen.
complex.
Yeah, because if think about it, like you just had a whole house burn down, and remove the emotion behind it. Just think about the construction. You've got to design a brand new house. You've got to make sure the foundation is appropriate. And if these houses have been there for 50 years, let's say, well, they now have to be built to current code. And in California, at least, you've got earthquakes that you have to deal with. So you have to add seismic elements to prevent earthquakes, or handle the earthquakes, I should say.
I mean, it takes a long time to put together a house, period. I mean, there's a house on one of the streets by me that's being built. I guess they found a little bit of land, decided to put it up. I mean, we're like month 9 now, I feel like. And like, I don't feel like we're that close. And it's like,
it typically takes about 2 years to build a new construction home.
Wow.
Assuming you don't have land. You go out and buy land, and that's happening quickly.
Yeah.
So realistically, slowly is 5 years.
Wow.
And then, like, to make matters even more difficult, these people don't have a home, and then there's a selling freeze, so you can't even sell the lot because they're trying to avoid what happened in Hawaii with those fires there. I mean, it's just a mess. And at the end of the day, it's like, gosh, people just need.
Yeah,
need to be rebuilt.
And my heart goes out to them.
Yeah,
I mean, really, it does. But this is, I go back to, this is the importance of having these trades.
Right.
These trades are the lifeblood of the country, and as generationally, we've been saying, go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. There's nothing wrong with going to college, but if you want skills that are going to last a lifetime, to be able to provide for your family on a daily basis, yes, it's hard work sometimes. Yes, it can be backbreaking work depending on what trade you go into, but and realistically, I think more emphasis needs to be put on the employer to make sure they're looking after their employees, because unfortunately, if you go out to California, everything is through the employer, and you don't have you have subcontracting, but you don't have subcontracting. Here in Virginia, there's like 10 layers of subcontractors through and through. And because we're a right to work state, we have more flexibility in some cases.
It is amazing. Our house that we bought, it's been many, many years now, but we bought it new construction. And you look at the builder, and the builder, like, the only thing the builder did was put his name on it, that this is this house. Everything else, I mean, everything was subcontracted out. I mean, every last bit of it.
But I want to highlight the point of the GC. The GC his job is to oversee, supervise, manage, and that value is very, very underappreciated, because the drywall guy or this, that. No, think about a surgeon. You're going to have your foot operated on. Well, the podiatrist, hopefully I'm getting my terminology correct, because again, crusty contractor here. they're the ones saying, hey, we need to have this part perform the surgery. Well, he's not performing the surgery. The surgeon is, and they have to have a meeting before any of that surgery happens. And you've got nurses and anesthesiologists and all of these different components just to perform a surgery on the human body. Construction is the same thing. And as the general contractor, it's our job to act like the surgeon and go, do we have all the pieces in place to perform this work? And that's really where the GC is underappreciated, because they just view it, oh, they just framed these walls, or they just hung the sheetrock, or they just painted. Like, they didn't just do that. Their job is to make sure everything flows correctly.
Yeah.
Do they still have shop class in like high schools?
You're asking the wrong person, but I'm not.
My kids did not take it. If they did, I think that, yeah.
I loved shop. Like, that was like my favorite class.
Well, it's amazing how much goes into it. I mean, it is such an underappreciated skill set that you have, JP. I mean, just in terms of, like, when it comes back to the fundamentals, I mean, just how many people even know how to read a measuring tape?
Yeah.
I mean, like, knowing the math and how to put stuff on center and to be able to do the drawings. I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah. Like, I was looking at a project yesterday at a healthcare facility, and they go, hey, we want to replace the ceiling tiles, but hey, give us a line item to replace the light fixtures, and give us a line item for this. I'm like, we're 75% of the way there. Why are we wasting our time? And when I broke it down for the client, they were like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Let's do that. And so now I'm in the process of getting all the parties involved to do all of that work. And thinking even further ahead, I'm like, hey, this building has an energy management system. Let's get it. If we're doing all this work, why not wire it up so that way we can tie it into the energy management system, so everything else is handled together. And just again, that ahead of time thinking is sometimes incredibly valuable for how we operate.
Yeah. I mean, especially, and I don't know how price sensitive the industry is, but you certainly want to create great value at the lowest price. And the thing about it is that and I would love your take on it. It's really, really difficult to shave $5,000, for example, off a price, because you have to shave like $100 off of 50 different things, in order to get to that savings. So everybody plays a part into it. There's a lot that goes into it.
So there's a contracting coach out there. I think his name is Tom Reber. And the number one thing that he talks about is know your price, like know how much things cost. I lost 2 jobs to this other company, and the most recent time I was $100,000 more than them, and I was like, good luck with them. And I was talking with another contractor friend of mine, and he's like, yeah, I lost a contract to them. I was $100,000 more than them. And he and I are comparing notes, like, and basically this contractor doesn't know their cost. They don't understand their labor cost. They don't understand their material cost. They don't understand their insurance and all of these different elements, and why it's important to have really understand your cost, because at the end of the day, they're basically racing to zero. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you race to zero? We all know that you go out of business. The game is over.
Yep.
And it's scary, because you could be in the middle of a construction project and you hit zero, you got nowhere to go. You can't finish the project. You got to go back to the client and say, I need more money and I need to charge you more. And that leaves a bad taste in their mouth. Or they're change ordering, which is huge, especially in construction nowadays, because either you're getting bad plans, or things are not fully fleshed out, or any number of things, and they're hitting you with change orders left, right, and center. And I don't like to do it, but there's times when I have to. And I'll tell the client, I'm like, look, you're driving this price so low to this point that to get it back to where it needs to be, we're going to have a change order come up. And I tell them that up front. And sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. And at the end of the day, my job is to flesh out to make sure that they have the best experience possible. And the only way I can do that is just providing high value each and every time. And if I can't make them sign on the dotted line, but my job is to make sure we have a great experience.
So what's your specialty? What, like, if you had a target customer, if you have a, like, what's
So,
the thing that you're looking for?
Yeah, so we've got kind of four main areas, and then I've got like a little side area. But it's healthcare, retail, offices, and offices kind of also links into industrial as well. Um, and then this weird segment of condos. But and it falls under build outs, renovations, remodeling, and then like repairs and maintenance. But where we really excel is the renovations and remodeling. We're doing this amazing project for CBT where we're opening up their space, and they're going to now be able to put 10 cubicles in the space where they could only have like 3 people before. And they've been working while we've been working, and we've had air scrubbers and HEPA vacuums and everything to really keep a really pleasant working environment for everyone, so that way they can take their business to the next level. And like I mentioned, we're about to start this Phelan project, which is happening in roughly 2 weeks, and it's all finishes. So we're just updating the finishes, but we're going to kick them out for 2 weeks, and then they're going to slowly bring back to go orders and whatnot. And then hopefully in about a month's time frame, we'll be done with that project and moving on to the other one. But we really specialize in our strong suit is working while the client is in place, because not many contractors know how to maintain that level of cleanliness and respect and organize things in a manner that just is super cohesive. But it takes a lot of collaboration if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's huge. In terms of if they're able to still generate revenue while work is going on, that's
And we had a project in Town Center where we were there for like 4 months, and we just did a section of offices over that 4-month period. They moved people around, and it was a fantastic experience, and they were a great client. But by the end of it, they were giving my guys birthday cards, like happy birthday and thank you cards.
that's
Like,
a good sign.
like I can't praise my people more, and they were like, hey, we've had 4 other construction projects that we've done from a corporate level, and this was by far the best. It exceeded our expectations to the point that the architect came through, and he's ready to do his punch list. He goes, JP, I really am having trouble looking for stuff to put on here. I've got to have to make up stuff to put on this punch list. And it's just such a good feeling that, the goal is to over deliver on value. Over promise and under deliver. No, sorry. Over deliver and under promise.
Yeah. I think that certainly in healthcare, I think it's rapidly evolving so you have to stay up on not just the trends that are today, but in the future. How do you stay ahead so that you can deliver that value when you're bidding on a project and completing it?
Man, healthcare, it is evolving every day. If you go back 20 years ago, they wouldn't have talked about air quality. Now they're talking about air quality while construction's going on. And this goes back to that earlier discussion where we talked about that, how a contractor looked, that image of them looking dirty and filthy and crusty, right? Well, now in healthcare, they're going, hey, you can't look like that. You can't smell like that. You've got to look presentable as you're working, because it actually does affect the patients there. And so We did a project with Bay Lake Retirement Community. And these are residents that live there, that physically live there. And that's a great community. I would recommend anyone going there and being a resident there. And we renovated the top to bottom of that, almost that entire place. And that was over like a 4-year period. And we were like, hundreds of people would walk through those hallways while we're working. And with the level of protection and cleanliness and just staging everything, even just that communication. And this is a great story, talking about ever evolving. One of the vice presidents called me up and goes, "Hey, we need to find a way to accelerate this portion of work." And I'm immediately going, "Oh, how do we do this?" And we've been providing them updates, like weekly updates. Here's our bar chart schedule. Here's our photos of where we're at. Here's the actual update at the end of the week, right? That we're doing. And they calling me going, "Hey, we want this grand opening to happen. How can we accelerate this by a month?" And we found a way to make that happen without ever impacting the residents there. You know, they didn't have to move out of their rooms. They continue to habitate while we're working. And I think that just that little bit of thinking about the job ahead of time is just so critical. And that continuous approach of finding a way to work with, "Hey, Mr. Healthcare Provider or Miss Healthcare Provider, what's impactful to you that's going to be the make or break thing for you that we need to take into account and be mindful of?" It's so powerful.
It sounds like you've done a tremendous job of really changing people's kind of minds in the construction world. So it's not that crunchy, what do you call it? Crusty,
yeah.
Yeah, Krusty the Clown in the construction world. But what are you doing from that perspective to get people to actually see that, right? So it's like, okay, you got the client, they get it, they see that you're doing a kick-ass job, so much so that they're giving people birthday cards. That's awesome. What are you doing to market towards that? Because you don't. It's a weird, I don't know, conundrum where people are like, okay, I want this thing to be remodeled, built from the ground up, whatever it is, and that's what I'm looking for. But I'm not really thinking, oh, I want this guy to like be clean, to be communicative.
Yep.
You know, so and all that kind of stuff. Like, what are you doing to market towards that, to let the world know, to let the region know?
That's a great question. So
are you standing, by the way? Or are you
sitting? No, I'm sitting. I'm sitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I'm a good guy.
I'm tall. Yeah, I'm 6'4", so everyone's short to me, as I joke. No, but from a marketing perspective is really the best way of doing it. All the things I'm doing, they're out there. You can, like, it's easy to figure out. But what I like to do is, my social media person, Ariel, and I, we really like to have those in action shots. Those, hey, this is a guy actually screwing the drywall in action. And by the way, you can see how clean the job site is. But again, it boils down to that level of communication of what the client is expecting, what the normal contractor thinks is clean, and finding like a happy middle ground. But honestly, that's also why we're taking pictures on a regular basis of our active job sites to show and be proud of. Not only that, but also it gives our clients the ability to promote themselves. Hey, we're doing this awesome work at CBT. They're a great client. We are so proud to be working with them and highlighting the amazing company that they are. And by the way, here's the status update that we're at on this project right now. And so we take a different approach of, hey, this is actually kind of a marketing tool that you can take advantage of. And collaborate together and show how amazing these people are.
So you said something that's super stunning to me. You have a social media person on your team.
Yep.
What?
How did you stunning?
Well, because a lot of people aren't willing to spend the money and they don't understand the importance of that. And so like how, at what point did you add that to your team, and how do you measure the return on investment of having that person?
So I think I've been working with Ariel for 3 years, and I worked with Liana for a year before that. So I guess I'm going on 4 years with Ariel now. And she's been great. I get praises about her all the time. Like, she's just a fantastic person. She's awesome to work with. My financial return on investment has been a whopping 0, but the impact of it, of other people to benefit from it, has been astronomical, unquantifiable, because they can sit there and go and look and see, oh, he's actually doing work. Here's a great example. So working with Warriors for Life, fantastic Navy SEAL it's not just the Navy SEALs, but they use hockey and other resources to help service disabled veterans in Hampton Roads, and actually I think they've finally gotten San Diego off the ground as well. But we did their build out. And so one of the benefits of us working together is they were actually able to promote, hey, this is where we're at, this is what's going on, and have that collaborative effect, and show such an amazing facility that we were able to be a part of, and continue to promote that for them. And even before they opened it up to the public, we were able to work with them and show, hey, this is where your money's going, because they're a nonprofit. They're having donors come in. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. We're so excited. Another one was Kawhi Corner. We were having messages, and they were having messages. Hey, what's the status? We haven't seen any updated photos yet. When are they going to open up? So it continues to build that hype for our customers. So from a financial perspective, I have not received a whole lot of benefit other than having raving fans of customers that have been able to say, no, they were fantastic. They provided immense value. So again, that over delivering on value has been immense from that perspective, but also it gives me a book of work to say, hey, just check out my Instagram.
Yeah.
Check it out. Like, this is the kind of work that we're proud of on a daily basis. I'll give you references, but check this out here. And it goes back.
I would think indirectly it's invaluable. I mean, I know that me personally, we would certainly check things out, as part of our due diligence as we're looking to select somebody. I just think that's great that you.
I think it's natural for people to go 100%. Check them out, right? It's not like
from a commercial perspective,
your website's irrelevant. In some
commercial is still. There's two aspects of it. It's relationship driven, still in the commercial space, like 90% of it is. But you're having this new trend, like the Gen Zers really starting to gravitate towards Instagram and TikTok and that sort of thing, to find, hey, I want to start this business, but I don't know how much it's going to cost. Who am I going to talk to? Who's going to shoot me a straight answer? Like, I've met with 2 people through Instagram within the last month that prior to 2025 had no contact with, like never met in person. And this year I met with 2. So there is a return on investment. I don't even know what it is yet, because I can't quantify it at this point.
What's something you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I would like to know how many states that you've been able to rock climb in. Out of the 50.
So I forgot about that.
The goal is 50 by 50.
Yeah. I am 39. I turned 40 in November.
Okay.
So right now we've done 2. So Virginia and North Carolina.
2?
Yeah.
We're not even close. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I know. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Do something hard. But I've already got the entire year planned out. We're doing Delaware, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia this year.
Does the height of the mountain matter, or is it just, little rock?
No, because in some states you're not going to be able to, like Florida. Where the hell am I going to go climb in Florida?
So, do you have a state identified? What number 50 will be? Will it be like Alaska or something?
No, I don't. I don't care about the in state. just care about the journey of getting there. And because I'm super passionate about it. My son climbs. We climb at Send. They're a fantastic gym. They're a smaller gym. Their community is great. Absolutely love them. But this is a quick little story. My son had done everything before COVID. So he'd done basketball, soccer, baseball, like all the traditional sports. And I know for me, like I played soccer. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy baseball or basketball. I mean, I did enjoy basketball, but not at a competitive level to play on a team. And in high school, I got into climbing. So I started to get back into climbing a little bit after COVID. And so we're trying to figure out sports for him for the fall. And I write down a list, I give it to him. He's like, what are my options? And you know how kids are. So he chose climbing, and I was for sure thinking he was going to choose it. And he tried it, and here he's now on the competition team, and he's traveled. He's going to be basically traveling with me and he'll probably end up doing the 50 states with me at some point. But yeah, like just that stupid goal, BHAG, whatever you want to call it, just going, reaching for the stars, and just something stupid to reach for.
It's cool that you get to do it with your kid though too. So I mean that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about that. I am not by any means the best climber out there, but it's more about, to me, the journey.
Is the guy from Free Solo a psychopath?
No comment.
Okay. That is just wild. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Alex Honnold. Yeah, he is a fantastic climber. I do not encourage my son to do what he does by any means.
My hands are like a little clammy right now, and I'm just like good for that guy. I mean,
come climbing with me, and we'll really put that to the limits.
HGTV, totally scripted. Any truth to it?
Yes, 100%.
100% scripted, or 100% truth to it?
Scripted and truth. Like when they go, oh, we've got this major disaster. I'm like, that's 100-year-old building. They knew that they were going to run into something. Oh my God, where are we going to get this money? Come on, you're not that stupid. If you can afford this $500,000 house that you're dumping another $500,000 to, you knew it was going to go over budget somewhere. Let's be real here. Like,
this is so disappointing. Like, you just ruined like hundreds of hours of my life where I'm like so invested in these things because they had no idea that was going to happen. Why would you ruin? Oh, JP.
Zach, you come on now. You've worked for television. You know it's not. You know it's scripted. Don't even go there.
You know, like you got
if the WWE is scripted, then come on now.
Look.
I mean, I would think it would be fun for you going into it. Let me see if you could identify the problem before they even reveal the problem.
It's, you know, when my wife is watching like House Hunters or like even that basic level stuff, I'm just like, all right, when are we going to get to the end where they go, oh my gosh, this is a very difficult project. We didn't know what was going to happen. But here we are. It looks fantastic. I'm like, yeah.
One that I feel like they don't do that on is this, I think it's called Restoration Aloha. It's around Hawaii. But they are buying like pieces of crap. So it's already like, you know what you're getting into. And it's just the amount of like that land out there is so expensive. Like they're literally buying like just trash. And it's like $1 million. You're just like, wow, like it's
location. I mean, like the number one, the two things in real estate that are hugely important are location and time kills all deals. So like if the city or takes forever to make a deal happen, like let's mention MacArthur Mall, not MacArthur Mall, but Military Circle Mall. I feel like, and don't quote me on the time, but it feels like it's almost been 10 years that the city has owned that building and still can't figure out what they're going to do with it. And they've done a disservice to the community by wasting so much time at this point. And So the saying in real estate is time kills all deals. So location absolutely matters, and time. So you have to act.
The crew knows that you're going to take them out for lunch,
Oh,
Tomorrow?
dinner.
Yeah.
Where are they picking? What's their favorite place?
Well, we haven't come to our office for training. I think they've ordered pizza, but we've had Jimmy John's, like just something light, so they're not.
But if they could pick like their
Jimmy John's is
favorite,
not light.
if they could pick their favorite place and like time didn't matter, price didn't matter, dress attire didn't matter, or you wanted to take them to someplace special, where would you take them?
I'm more of like an activity person, so I would want to go do something. So if it were me, I'd go karting. I think that's always a good fun, like team building, but also competition thing. Yeah.
Is there any go-karting other than the thing at the oceanfront or like by Bird Neck?
There's Le Mans, which is in Portsmouth.
Le Mans. Wow.
That's actually the original. And then when I say original, the original faster carts. And then off of Bird Neck, whatever it's called, they got their speed.
I think a fun team building exercise centered around the dining experience is doing a Brazilian steakhouse. Yeah, whoever can leave with the most meat sweats. It's just a lot of fun. It's good stuff.
I know the one in Norfolk close, but there's one opening in Virginia Beach.
No, actually, my go-to barbecue restaurant is Redwood. So
that's where we went.
Yeah.
Did you do that build out?
No, I did the one in Virginia Beach, and then I didn't do his Suffolk one. He and I talked about it, but he went with a different contractor. And then I've done some work at Norfolk. But great restaurant, love Bob. Yeah. I would actually encourage you guys to talk to him. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I've met him once.
I have I have the red envelope still sitting on my desk next to me from when we went, Zach.
When does that expire? That's a good marketing.
I know. That's what I was just thinking. I think that it was. I mean, look.
Well, he just opened up a Suffolk location, right?
Yeah. So Tim and I went like right before the end
January
of the year.
1st through February 28th. So
get on it.
Okay. We got it. Tim and I went there a couple weeks ago, right before the end of the year. And when I was thinking about that place, I thought the other one was open, which would have been closer between the two of us, but it wasn't open yet. But now he's got 3 locations. Good for him. Nothing like smoking meat.
No, yeah, we absolutely love it. That's if anything, that's probably where I'd take everyone.
I will tell you, I was a little disappointed in the smoked pickle. I'm a big pickle guy. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping for a little something different, but what else? JP, it's been great catching up. Thanks for your time. Continued success.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been fun.
We will chat soon. Thank you much. Cheerio.